Do you remember a couple of days ago in a video where I talked about BRICS? I said that BRICS is just China's Ponzi scheme to bring countries in to do China's bidding. Well, then back in May, I made this conspiracy theory type video when I was in Los Angeles.
I think that China is using Taiwan and the US to build its military, but their goal isn't a reunification of Taiwan and China. Their goal is to build up a military in order to fly under Russia's radar. If they continue to meet with Russia and be friendly with Putin, between Xi Jinping and Putin, while saber rattling with the United States and saber rattling Taiwan, they can build up their military saying, yes, we are united with you, Russia, against the collective West. But in reality, China is building its military to potentially take advantage of a fractured Russia. Now, why is this? I believe that Russia has more of what China needs going into the future than Taiwan. Looking into the future, there are three things that China needs more than what Taiwan offers. The first is energy. The second is water. And the third is food. Russia provides all of that. And if China sees Russia in a weakened state, like they are after Ukraine, and potentially sees fracturing within the Kremlin and fracturing amongst the various regions of Russia, China potentially could exploit that and regain territory that they lost to Russia over time. And in fact, there have been border disputes and clashes between those two countries. So China and Xi Jinping are high-fiving with Russia saying, yeah, let's go get the Americans, let's go get Taiwan while you guys get Ukraine. But in reality, that is just a distraction for them to build up their military and potentially take what their real target is. Again, this is just a conspiracy theory.
Well, I'm not ready to depart from it being a conspiracy theory to something that's actual reality. China is doing some very interesting things, though, that are somewhat supporting that conspiracy theory, including pissing off fellow BRICS members, India and China, over their new official map. Now, the Chinese media outlets shared this map earlier this week, and it's their new geographic map from China's state-owned Standard Map Service, and it shows Russian territory as a part of the Chinese map as well as Indian territory as a part of the Chinese map. And these changes were apparently approved by Beijing and released by China's Ministry of Natural Resources. So the map released shows some eyebrow-raising new Chinese territorial gains into Russia and India. So with regard to India, we're talking about the Arunachal Pradesh region, which is right in here, and the border region of Askay Chin, which is up in here. Let me zoom in on this a little bit more so you can kind of see where I'm talking. This is Arunachal Pradesh right here, and Askay Chin is right there. And nothing says alliance like not respecting each other's borders. So what is China's response to India's really strong protests about this map? Well, China says, we hope the relevant side can stay objective and calm and refrain from over-interpreting. And we all know the best route to de-escalate a situation is to claim the other party is overreacting and just tell them to calm down. So further down into the South China Sea, we actually go back to this map and you can kind of see, and I know this is kind of small, but you can see somewhat where China has drawn what is essentially a redraw of the 9-dash line, although this one has 10 dashes. And this is something that we've seen before. It's the similar claims China has in the South China Sea, which claims territory for China that belongs to Vietnam, the Philippines, Malaysia, Taiwan, Japan, etc. But this claim is par for the course. It's nothing really has changed here at all for the South China Sea and what China claims here. So pivoting to Russia, this new map that China released isn't really going to help Chinese-Russian ties either. And that's because Russia, a country that is constantly whining about unfavorable treatment from other countries, is definitely paying attention to the territory that China now claims as its own, which is up in this region right here. It's not a ton of territory, but still it's territory nonetheless. Looking at this, it's right in this area here. You can see the little drop pin that shows this island, and I'll zoom in. And you can see this island is actually shared between Russia and China, this side being China, this side being Russia. And so there's this island that runs right in here, and the Amur River kind of separates the border, and then they have just kind of an arbitrary border that splits the center of the island that has been agreed upon by China and Russia. And this was a dispute that went back to the 1860s, and in 2008 the countries agreed by treaty that they would split the island. The funny thing is what is Russia going to do here? If Putin is upset, he's not in a position to loudly complain about this, since Moscow has become so dependent on economic relations with China, and that is a result of Western sanctions. If China moves in on the territory, Russia is just really not in a place militarily to respond, and China knows this. Meanwhile, the ruble devaluation and India flexing economically on Russia, and the US and Europe really just sitting back and telling Russia, well, you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes, and that Russia brought this upon themselves. And we can kind of see that Russia's in a pretty difficult situation here. They really can't flex on China. They really can't even complain for fear that China will just cut Russia off, because they have options for getting their energy elsewhere, including Saudi, the entire Western Hemisphere, including Canada, the United States, South America. But more broadly, and this once again pivots back to BRICS, is this what y'all BRICS supporters want to lead the order? This is who you want leading the world order here. A shitty bunch of countries with currency fights, currency manipulation, crumbling economies, authoritarian dictators, border disputes, civil wars, sanctions regimes, and China and Russia basically trying to permanently take territory from its neighbors, whether it's on a map or whether it's in practice in Ukraine. It just doesn't make any sense to me.